Hello guys, in this class I'll be showing you how we got this image from year to year using Photoshop. So this is the raw file. This image was shot with two lights. We had one light by this side feathered and another light by this side feathered. My camera setting was ISO 100, shutter speed 1/168 f6.3. This is the processed file. And basically what I did here was just few adjustments and I'm going to go through them. So the first thing you see here is an adjustment layer. This adjustment layer is just to brighten the hand here. So that is what this adjustment layer is doing. If I turn off and turn on the adjustment layer, you see that this adjustment layer is just to brighten the hand. Then the first thing that I did was to change my white balance. It's currently at 4600. Move the tint a little bit, increase the brightness of the image, reduce the contrast by 2, leave the saturation. I brought down the highlight a little bit because we are using a white background, so I don't want the highlight to be too much. So I brought down the highlight a little bit, boost up the shadows, brought down my whites, use my levels to add a bit of contrast to the image. So I drag in my blacks and I drag in my whites. This is just to add contrast to the image, just a little bit of contrast to the image. The next thing that I did was to go to my color panel, and in my color panel, in this advanced tab, what I did was to select the skin, then push the hue a little bit to the right, reduce the saturation a bit and increase the lightness a bit. I increase the lightness a bit because this is a fair skin client. If this was a dark skin client, I normally reduce the lightness a bit. So you could see what we got before and our result here. So in the basic panel, let me just quickly go through the basic panel. The basic panel, this is what I did. I increased the saturation in the red, which has to do with the skin tone, and I don't think I touched. Then in the blues, I brought down the blues a bit, because don't forget my temperature is at 4600, so it was a bit too blue for me. So I had to bring down the blues a little bit. Same with the cyan. For the color balance, the only thing I did here was to increase the mid-tone a bit. I picked this color that matched with the skin and increased the mid-tone just a little bit. I didn't do anything in my highlights and in my shadows. So that is for the raw processing. Basically, that is what I did for the raw processing. Then just increase the sharpness a bit. But that was what I did for the raw processing. Let's go to Photoshop and break down how we took this image from year to year. So if I put the image side by side, this is straight out of camera, this is Capture One, and this is Photoshop. So straight out of camera, Capture One, and Photoshop. Please guys, if you have learned something from this video, please like and subscribe. It really helps the channel to grow when you like and subscribe. Thank you very much. So let's head on to Photoshop and look at how we did some manipulation. This is the file that we got from Capture One. I duplicated the layer, though I've done some work, so I'm just going to on this layer, then explain it one by one. So I duplicated the layer, clean up the background, did a little bit of mixer brush to clean up the background. If you want me to make an in-depth video on how I clean my background, please leave it in the comment below. After cleaning up the background, the next thing I did was to bring in this background. I got this background from Tony Grapher. So let me go to the image. So this is the background, and I got this background from Tony Grapher. Tony Grapher Photography. You can check him out on Instagram. I just want the background. What I did was to select the subject out of the background and fill the background. You discover that I've taken out the subject, I have just the background, then I took out the floor of the background because I don't want the floor, I want just the background. So that was what I did here to get this. Then the next thing that I did was to add this window. I added this snoot, it's a snoot effect window, and then I blurred it a bit. Because I wanted to add a bit of element to the background. I did not want to take his background and just use it like that. I wanted to add my own element to it. And that is one thing you can also do. So when you copy from other photographers, it's also nice that you add a bit of your own spice, add your own spice to it. So let's continue. The next thing I did here was to bring in this white, I don't know what it's called. Is this a whiteboard or a white? I don't know the name. If you know the name, please let me know in the comment section. I don't know the name of this stuff. So I took this from another image and I'm going to bring in the image here. I took this from another image. I took this from Damon's image. Wonderful photographer. Go and check him out on Instagram. So I took this stuff here because I don't have this in my studio. But as you can see, it's a bit small here and I wanted it to be a bit big in my own image. So what I did was to select it first and trim the board out, then added shadow to it. You can see I added shadow to it because without shadow, it does not have surface contact. Whenever you copy things like this, you always need shadow in order to create that surface contact. So that is what is going to make it realistic, right? When it has shadow, it almost feels as if the stuff was there in the image. So that was what I did here. I copied it out, added shadow to it, then duplicated it. So you can see we have two here. We have one by the left and one by the right. So this is without the board and this is with the board. The other thing I did here was to play a bit with my color balance in the highlights. So I added a bit of blue to the highlights. So this is before it was looking too gray, so I just added a bit of blue, playing with the color balance. And then we have the main image here. This is the subject. If I hold my Alt and click on it, this is just the subject. Then the next thing that I did was to desaturate this side of the image, desaturate it a bit. Then I created a stamp visible layer, did my frequency separation. So let me zoom in a bit. This was before frequency separation and this is after frequency separation. So the next thing that I did here was to add contrast to the image because frequency separation is going to reduce some contrast in the face. So I wanted to add overall contrast to the image, like a global contrast to the image. So that was what I did here. So this is something that I did in Capture One. All you have to do is bring in your blacks a bit, bring in your whites a bit, and there's a preset for it here. So increase contrast 1, increase contrast 1. That is the preset. And the next thing I did here was to whiten the eyes, then darken the eyebrow a bit. So the two layers that we have here is for dodge and burn. This particular curve 1 and curve 2. This is my dodge, and this is my burn. Then the next thing I did was to create a stamp visible layer. This stamp visible layer have a little bit of color grading in Camera Raw. What I did here was just to reduce the saturation a bit. Most of my color grading, I've done that in Capture One. Then I added my logo. That's it. So that's how we got from year to year. If this video was helpful to you, please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. I'll see you in the next video. Thank you very much.